Okay, Coach, first question, John Bowenkamp.
Hey, Frank. Good morning. When you look at Rutgers, I mean, this is one of the league's best defenses. What is it they do so well, and how are they able to do what they do?
John, I don't think it's that complicated. They play really hard. They have size. They compete, and they're connected. I mean, they stay after you, and it helps you have Cliff. It's nice to have a goaltender. I mean, he is tough at the rim. As a rim protector, he's as good as it gets.
Tom Kakert.
Hey, Fran, good morning. Wanted to ask you about Cam Spencer and what he's brought to this team. It seems like he's given them a pretty good outside threat.
Well, he certainly has done that, but I think he's a lot more than that. You look and say, well, he's a 44% three-point shooter. Boy, that's tremendous, which it is, but he's a really good player. And I think he complements their other pieces really well. Sometimes, portal guys, they fit perfectly, and sometimes they don't. And he has fit perfectly, with McConnell and Mulcahy and Cliff, and Hyatt and Mag. He kind of plays the game at his pace. And he might be making jumpers, but he also might be making plays off the dribble because he's a crafty guy.
Steve Batterson. Oops, Steve, you're muted.
You've had 7 players miss at least one game this season. What's keeping things together?
I think we had a good group of guys, Steve. They all, I think, have the character necessary to step up when they know we need them. You're right. I mean, and it has kind of been a continual, ongoing process where okay, who's out this game, who's out that game, and I'm not afraid to call their number. And sometimes they have to play more minutes than others. Sometimes they play a different role. I think we do kind of prepare for that in practice. A guy like Josh Dix is going to play more than one spot. Peyton Sanford, same thing, guys like that. So, I felt like we had, some versatile pieces coming into the season, and, was hoping not to have to deal with it on a regular basis. But as you well know, it's a long season. It's a physical grind, and we had a really tough schedule this year. But the guys have embraced it well, and I'm really proud of the way they've handled it.
Mike Halas.
Fran, to my untrained eye, this looks like a contrast in styles. What do you guys have to do to impose the way you want to play on them?
Well, I don't know that it's necessarily going to be that. I mean, I understand. I think the question makes sense. Every game has a different flow to it. We like to play fast, and I think people have the perception they like to play slow. They'll go. They got athletes. They've got speed. They'll go. But a lot of times the games slow down because you got to grind it on offense to score against them. And that's what slows the game down, not necessarily pace of play. Because you don't want to come down and quick shoot the ball and take tough contested shots. That's not going to be productive. So we're still going to run. We change defenses. They change defenses. Last year, of course, I don't remember if you were here or not. Probably were. It's 46-46, and it was not a lot of fun to watch from a fan's perspective. But the game in the tournament was a lot different. So you don't know. Sometimes they'll get out and push it big time. They've got speed in the backcourt. They've got speed on the wings. They've got a 5-man who can run. So we'll see how it goes.
Kennington Smith,
Morning, Coach. Appreciate the time. Coinciding with what you just said, something that has hurt the team over the last few games has been just kind of slow starts in the first half. We just assess what's happened over the last few games. Is there anything tangible to point to that could remedy that, or is it just as simple as executing better from the opening tip?
I think that's all it is. I mean, obviously you have an option of switching the starting lineup, which we had to do last game anyway, with Patrick being out. I don't always jump to that because, you know, it insinuates that like the person you took out of the lineup was the problem, and that typically isn't the case. You know, we just challenge our guys to be better. You know, sometimes, you know, and I would say this in particular for the Nebraska game, like, you know, we had good shots and we didn't make them. It wasn't like we were turning the ball over and we were sideways. We just weren't making any shots. The other night against Indiana, we just weren't very good. You know, it was 28-7, and you know, we shuffled the deck a little bit, timeout, you know, jump them a little bit, you know, try to jumpstart the effort level and the execution, and obviously we got better. So you know, there's the only options you really have. You can change the starting lineup if you think that's a problem, and I'm not going to do that. You can run more sets, less motion. You can play more zone and less man-to-man. There's tactical things you can do, but I just think you have to challenge your guys to be better from the opening tip in terms of all of those things together.
Kenny, do you have a follow-up?
I do. It was unrelated to the last question, but after the last game, you said that one of the biggest impacts of that win was just to see a jubilant locker room. Just how would you assess the team's vibe, energy in the last few games compared to, you know, during the recent skid, if there was a difference?
Yeah, I mean, we had 2 games in a row where, you know, we didn't play well, and the teams that we played better. You know, a lot of times we just talk about what we didn't do, but we don't talk about what they did. You know, Eastern Illinois and Nebraska played well. The Penn State game was a slugfest. Made a nice comeback. You know, so when you're in those situations and you're that close, those can be really frustrating and they can linger on you. So you know, I'm really happy that we were in another slugfest and got the W. So I do think, you know, the players, when they celebrate in the locker room together, it's a culmination of a lot of hard work, and it's also indicative of their ability and willingness to stay together. And as you know, you were there. A lot of guys played well. A lot of guys did things to help us win. And that always adds to how everybody feels, you know, when they all feel like they've contributed, which they did.
Any other questions?
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Coach.